Fine-tune optimal exposure. So this is basically easy EV comp. Shutter release button, AE lock, standby timer. So it's how long you want the camera to stay on, basically, for the screen, if I'm not mistaken. Self timer. So this is like for your timer release. These locks are magnetic. Unlike the D7000, the D600 series does have the locking command dials as well as the locking drive modes, like the D7000. Interval between shots, so half a second. Number of shots, self timer delay, monitor off delay, pretty self-explanatory. Remote on, beep, that says it off. I mean, you're just going to annoy people and animals. No point in it. Viewfinder grid display. ISO display and adjustment. Show ISO sensitivity. Show frame count. It will also do this, so, I mean, it's kind of the same thing. Just shows you how long until you fill your buffer. Screen tips. So if you need help with any of the menu systems, all the entry level, the semi-pro bodies will have this. Continuous slow. You can set this up to 5 frames per second and down to 1. Max continuous release. So this is how many files you want the camera to release before it stops, basically. For shooting JPEG fine large, you can basically get up to 100. My record for 12-bit lossless compressed RAW is 42 so far. File number sequence, on, off, and reset. So 190, D600, 191. It's going to reset each time you take 1,000 photos. So information display, auto, it's going to adjust it on its own. I've set to dark on light, and then there's also light on dark. This is dark on light. Sorry, light on dark, I'm sorry. And then here's dark on light. Sleek illumination. That just kills the battery. Exposure delay mode. I wouldn't use this since I shoot a lot of wildlife, but if I were in YouTube per se and I wanted to do like long exposures, this is what I would use. The tripod didn't have any vibrations. Flash warning. MBD14 battery type. This is if you have one of the ENL15 variants of the battery, ENL15A, ENL15B, so on and so forth. Double A's, and then FR6. I'm sorry. I haven't quite figured all of this out yet. Battery order, use the MBD14 batteries first, so this would be the vertical grip. Or you can choose to use the camera batteries first. It's going to default to MBD14 though. Flashing speed. Flash shutter speed. Reading flash commander. This, if I'm not mistaken, you can also use a CLS. Exposure comp, entire frame, or if you want it to meter for just the background only. Modeling flash. And a bracketing set. AE comp and flash. Bracketing order. So this is okay shooting mode. I have it set to select the center focus point. This is basically, well, with wildlife, you really want this if you're selecting your own focus points. You can also have it be where it's not used, or you can highlight your selective active focus point. Select function button, framing grid. If you find a virtual horizon, this is basically going to show you if your photo is level or not. My menu, we'll get to that in a second. Choose non-CPU lens number. Previews to field preview. A-lock, AF lock. AF on. This is controls, customize command dials. Reverse rotation for exposure comp or shutter speed and aperture. That would get confusing though for me. Choose main or sub. So this is aperture priority. true setting subcommand dial, or if it's a legacy lens, you can also do this, adjust it through your aperture ring. Personally, I choose to use the subcommand dial. Menus and playback, so this is going to use the subcommand dials to navigate the menus and the playback, of course. I personally always use it. Release button, use dial. Slot release, slot empty release lock. So basically, if you want the camera to fire without your cards in, or if you don't want it to do that, release locked, and it will release. Reverse indicators. So basically, this is how it would be with all bodies, D3000 through D6. Then this is if you want it to be backwards. That would get confusing for me, so again, I don't use it. Here's your controls for vertical grip. Basically the same as all the other controls. We have a setup menu. For my memory card, the semi-pro and enthusiast bodies, V1 and U2, so the U750, D780, D600, D610, and all the D7000 series bodies. So you can change your user settings, and then if you want to save it to U1 or U2, reset user settings. Also, you can hold down zoom out and EV comp, then this will reset it too. Monitor brightness of it set to 0. You can also do auto, but it's not that great, not the 5D Mark III. Clean image sensor. Lock mirror for cleaning, image adjust off for a photo, so this is going to take a photo. My D3500 also has this, so I suspect that all bodies would. I'm not sure about my D100, I haven't looked. And then this is going to show you where the dust's at in your photo. HDMI, so output resolution 1080 in release. So work best for TV screens, but not computer monitors. Basically, it's reading out the sensor all at once, instead of progressive, which is going to go line by line, if that makes sense. Device control. So if you're like using an Atomos, or I personally use my LG V60, which I'm currently shooting this on, for device control. You can shoot clean out video too. 422, 8-bit clean out. Also supports picture controls. However, this does not support power aperture control. I wish it did, but then again, if you have the legacy lens with an aperture ring, you can just use the aperture ring. Flicker rejection, 50 Hz, 60 Hz. I have it set to auto. Time zone and date and time. Day, month, year, month, day, year, month, day. Daylight savings time, and basically I'm in Seattle, so it's February 6, 2021, 11:36 p.m. Sorry, AM. English, a lot of different languages. Consumer bodies don't have this many in my experience, or at least not my D3500, the D5600. Image comment, input comment, attach comment. This is basically going to show up in your metadata. Image rotation, all bodies have this. So the camera is going to rotate the image for you. Battery info. This is the original battery that came with the camera. So this is new to old. Basically brand new ENEO 15. It's going to be brand new, so it's going to be 0. Then if your battery is pretty much dead, it's going to be here. You got 4. Number of shots, 311. Charge 48%. Copyright information, this is again going to show up in your metadata. You can put your comment in there. Save load settings. If I'm not mistaken, this is going to be for like U1 and U2. GPS. It's not built in, and you do need the GPS 1A unit for this. It works fine from what I've heard, but the cord does break. It's not that great of a cord, but the GPS unit on its own is, well, it doesn't have any issues. You can use the GPS to set your clock. If the camera supports snapper, like with my D3500, I can also have it set to copy my phone. Your position, of course, standby timer. So if you want the camera to be off yet still have the GPS enabled, this is what you'd use. Virtual horizon. Get your line straight, basically. Pretty self-explanatory. On CPU lens data, this is set for a Carl Zeiss planar 8514. You can have up to 9 different lenses. Can't talk today. Focal length 8514, of course. Carl Zeiss planar again. Fine tune, on off, saved value. This is if your lens is back focusing or front focusing. Default, so if you want the lens back focus or front focus more, or not back focus or front focus more, but prioritize back focusing or front focusing. Listed values, so we have my 24 to 72.8 Tamron G1. Of course, it's got the Tamron VC, so it's technically VR. Number 3, 70 to 300, 4 to 5.6, Sigma 70 to 300 DG macro. Number 2, 51.8, this is the lens that are most commonly used. That's why 1240 to 70 is currently getting fixed. AFD. Then we've got a 150 to 600, a 5 to 6.3, Sigma Contemporary, OS VR. Firmware version 1.0.3, 1.0.4 also adds, I believe, AFP support for the 10 to 20, as well as auto distortion and auto vignetting control for the 10 to 20. Of course, why would you use a DX on the FX body? Save $1,000, go with the D7000 if you're just going to do that. And then 1.0.1 was clean out support. 1.0.0 was the original firmware. Retouch menu. So my D3500 also has this. I don't know about the pro level bodies, but I suspect that they do. I don't believe my D100 has this. If you just want to like retouch photo. Of course, the camera will work with only one card in slot 1 or slot 2. Either or. The lighting, red eye correction, trim, monochrome. I mean, they're all pretty much self-explanatory. Raw processing, so if you want to make it into a JPEG,